Mad World, is Coach Sess. Hey, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. So going into basically the first 6 rounds, I basically had it even. So let me break these 6 rounds down for you real quick. I know everybody was talking about Fury's jab. Well, here's the problem, is that just using historical context here, when Maidana fought Floyd Mayweather, Maidana was able to outwork Mayweather, but he didn't really land the punches because there were a lot of punches. They just didn't count. And, there were a lot of punches in these first 5 rounds that I really didn't give to Fury because they were more backhands and they didn't have anything to do with the scoring area. And these good jabs that he was throwing, they really didn't disrupt Deontay Wilder's position, his posture. He wasn't controlling the fight per se. And in these first 6 rounds, Wilder was able to, roughly back up Fury and, dictate some of the real estate in the round, more so than Fury. I'm not saying Fury didn't do it. I'm just saying Deontay did it a little bit more in those first 5 rounds anyway. And then the other thing was, you have to give credit to, the significant punches, not just the punches that are just being thrown randomly out there, because as you saw at the end of the fight, when they did the punch stats, the stats weren't that far different, and they, I know that you have to the breakdown is how you score it per round, but with both fighters doing so little in the fight, I had to look at things like, the significant punch of the round or punches of the round, the real estate of the round, and who was controlling the action. And in the first I want to say 4 rounds, I had it 3-1 for Wilder, and then it was like round 5. I think I gave it to Fury, but it was round 6 where he just tied everything up, and I thought that Fury at this point really started landing his jab. It was much more straight, and also it was backing up Wilder. He was actually taking Wilder's posture away from him. He was backing him up, moving him around, and he just wasn't just throwing it to keep range. Because when he threw it to keep range, you would see Wilder just, roll his shoulders, slip it off, or either he just stand there and put his hands up, and it had no effect. So we want to talk about all the jabs, but we got to talk about the effect of the jabs, And in round 7, 8, and 9, I thought that Fury started to walk away with the fight. So at the point where it was round 9, I had it 5-4, but the fight was a draw at this point because of the knockdown. All right, so I had 5-4 at round 9, going toward Fury, but the fight itself was a draw because of the 10-8 score in round 9 because of the knockdown. So Wilder was able to even things up because of the knockdown. And you could even make an argument that it was 10-9, and because you don't want to negate all the good work that Fury had done up to that point. But just going by traditional standards, I made it 10-8. Then around 10, because you have 3 rounds left, 10, 11, 12. These are the championship rounds. So in my mind, at this point, the fight was tied up, and I figured this was a 3-round fight at this point. It was just about who could do what in these 3 rounds. And you have to keep in mind, these are some big men. And at this point, they are somewhat fatigued. They're tired. The punching power goes away with more time, and they have to. So the more they're punching and the more clock that's taken away, They lose that power. But it's the guy who can pull back some of that reserve, and it's not just digging deep. It's tactical. It's strategical. He's got to lessen the impact a little bit, and he's got to control the range a little bit more with his feet, and then try to build up that big burst, that big attack. And so in these last 3 rounds, I thought that Tyson Fury won round 10 convincingly, easily. I thought in round 11 that the fight was really even. I thought that round was just even. Neither guy really did a lot. And there was a lot of slap punching going around. They both, think they secured about, they pushed each other back toward the ropes about twice each, 2 or 3 times each. But a lot of slap punching. And so a lot of hugging, not a lot to write a home about in that round. All right, but it was in round 12 that Deontay comes back out, and he lands that, that combo toward the end, or early in the round. And I thought he did enough to earn the 10-9, to be honest, because I thought Fury did a good job of coming back in that round after he got up. The way he got up let me know that he really wasn't hurt. And when he got up, he went back to work. And so I think that the judge, Alejandro, I forget the last name, but the judge that had it a draw, I think he had it right. I don't think the judge who had it 115 to 110 for Wilder, I don't know what Kool-Aid he was drinking. I think everybody wants to talk about the judge who gave it the draw. I think they need to be concerned more about the judge who gave it to Wilder with that margin. And going back to historical context, when Floyd Mayweather fought Maidana, there was a judge on that card who had it a draw, who had the fight a draw, but the other 2 judges gave it to Floyd Mayweather. And I think that if you're a judge on the outside and you're looking at all that volume, and then you're looking at the effect from the other fighter, you're saying to yourself, I have a reasonable cause to give certain rounds to both fighters. And I think you could do that in this fight. I think at times Fury had the volume in certain rounds, and but I think Wilder controlled pretty much the fight itself. He forced the fight, whereas Fury was just a big guy, depending on his footwork, staying behind his shell. If you look at the way Fury fights, he's a big guy who doesn't take impact. So, and I'm not saying that you should fight that way to prove anything. I'm just saying that he doesn't take a lot of impact. So he to have good footwork and movement and a big body like that, he's going to have a lot of longevity, in a fight in his career in itself. But he doesn't have the style where he's going to force the fight, so to speak. He's picking his moments. We can't take away his power because he is a big guy. A guy that's as tall as he is and weighs about 260, and with that the length of his arms, that leverage is going to be impactful. It just kind of negates itself when his opponents started becoming closer and closer to his size, or in this case, Wilder was just closer to, his height, and just like when he fought Klitschko, when he starts fighting these big guys like this, he's not going to have the power punching leverage, or the power punching advantage, so that we'll see that when one of these guys actually fights Joshua Anthony. But that's my take on the fight. It's just that the real estate, who controlled, where they fought, and I have to say Wilder did that. Even if Fury was scoring, it was Wilder pushing him back to the ropes. Then again, looking at the effect of the punches, I just have to say that Wilder was a little bit stronger, but I have to give Fury the volume and some of the tactical advantages in the fight. You know, with his defense was pretty decent. His movement, I didn't like all the taunting just because he didn't have the power punching advantage. And a lot of times when you see guys who taunt, you know, they usually have that power punching advantage. I think everybody would like to believe that Wilder, you know, just because he's kind of, you know, brash or whatever, you know, that he's not intelligent. You know, I think he has a good boxing fight IQ. I don't know if he has a good boxing style, and sometimes we confuse the two. A guy can be pretty aware of what's going on inside those ropes and still not have the prettiest style. You know, he doesn't have to be an Andre Ward to be, you know, a boxing expert. So I actually thought the fight was a draw. I thought they got it right, even with the 2 knockdowns. I thought it was just a draw. Without the knockdowns, I have Fury winning the fight. Okay, but just again looking at it using Maidana versus Mayweather as context, I think the judge who made it a draw scored it correctly. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the fight. I'm Coach Sess, and you've had Words with a Mad Coach.